What's crackin', Space Cowboys? And today we're gonna be talking about the fan favorite and beloved Cowboy Bebop live adaptation by Netflix. The critic reviews are definitely in here. It's about as well hailed as High Guardian Spices. Actually, a little bit better, marginally, with a 48% Rotten Tomato score and a 6.7 out of 10 IMDb. Honestly, could have been a lot worse. As you know, Netflix has a great history of making amazing live adaptations. I'm sure you guys are well aware of the beauty that is the Death Note one and how comically awful that atrocious monstrosity is. Unfortunately, Cowboy Bebop doesn't hit that good note because it's not comically bad, it's just bad. Granted, it does have a few good scenes in it, at the very least, that did make me chuckle. So let's just go over and see what Netflix's live adaptation does incorrectly, and there is a bit of a laundry list on this one. If you're any fan of the original anime, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are, considering I'm an anime channel, you guys probably love Cowboy Bebop. It's one of the highest regarded anime shows, literally of all time. People fondly remember Cowboy Bebop years, talking 20 years later after release. I literally just rewatched at least a good portion of the episodes that are pretty much entirely cover all of the live adaptation, because the live adaptation, they're expecting a season 2. Yikes. But for anybody that loves the original source material, praises it for how good it is, how well constructed it is, they're going to see whatever disaster crap show that is Netflix's thing, and they're gonna say, wow, they really loosely followed those guidelines. And I've seen people defending it saying, well, they shouldn't just copy-paste what the anime does. There's a reason why the anime is so successful. Because it's a good story. When you take what a good story is, and you change it to it's not even very relevant to whatever the original is anymore, well, why didn't you just create a new story? Anyway, let's go over some of the changes. The first one that really bothers me is Faye Valentine. What a disaster of a character that they made with that. The first thing you should notice is the fact that they changed her entire design to a little bit less sexualized, which is hilarious to me because in the live adaptation, Faye Valentine is the most sexualized thing, predator preying on literally almost everything. Like literally everything. She had a thing in an episode where she was looking at an off-brand magazine deciding whether she liked wee-wees or booba better. The fact that they changed to a less sexualized thing, even though that she literally had a lesbian affair with a mechanic that she met in one single day, and she had like this nice, lovely bond, and was nude for most of that scene, which is hilarious to me, because why cover her up if she's just going to be this sexualized object anyway? I guess it's okay if it's diverse. Also, what kind of bothered me is they made Faye Valentine, instead of like this really cool, badass woman, they kind of just made her sassy, pouty, and kind of just an awful person. Granted, Faye, like, leached off of the original cast in the anime to begin with, but at least she was competent at what she did. And it really kind of pissed me off that she swore like a sailor in the live adaptation. She was just going off. And she just looked really dumb doing that all the time. I'm gonna be real. One of her lines in the final episode. Welcome to the ads, motherfuckers! That is the dumbest line I think I've ever heard. They just completely missed the mark on the badass that is Faye Valentine. I don't know what they were thinking. Another thing that really bothered me was the fact that they changed Jet absolutely completely too. His motivations and other things like that. It bothers me. I mean, true, they at least kept the fact that he used to be an ex-cop, but they made it so he's like this pathetic wimp that gets cucked by police officer by his wife, and he always is like going, oh, I have to go to my daughter's recital, I have to do my daughter's thing like that, I have to do everything, and instead of actually like helping, well, I guess Spike. It's just like Jet's character was completely just not there, because in the anime, Jet like super helps out by hacking, knowing a bunch of like good criminal investigation stuff, know exactly how to track down these people, where to go. He's even useful in combat. He's good. And best of all, he knows about Spike's secret of being in the syndicate before, and he's cool with it. Where in the final episode, apparently Spike kept that secret, and it caused a big fake fallout that was just there for drama. And I don't know, it was dumb. Because of all that bond of going together, he then abandoned Spike at the end, and that's horse donkey crap. It's like the daughter literally existed to get kidnapped, so to be used as this fuel to make Jet and Spike go apart for whatever insane reason. Like, I'm okay with like character arcs and development there, but when Jet's literal sole purpose of having the daughter is just for a plot device, it's kind of bad. Don't get me wrong, Jet did an amazing job acting with what little he had. The actor did a freaking phenomenal job. One of the best picks of the cast by far. One thing that was kind of nice was, you know, they followed the original, one of the original first episodes here of Spike, like going out and following this couple where, you know, he's like tracking them down. They're a bounty. She looks pregnant. They're trying to get away to go to Mars. Like, they kept that relatively good, but they changed a few things here and there, especially since like the syndicate apparently cleaning up instead of like Jet getting there before the syndicate does, finding out about things, and, you know, actually being useful. The red eye was also changed a little bit. Instead of like giving like super speed, he was able just to take bullets, even though that would literally kill him because it would like go through his heart, and he was just taking it, standing there. You know, I get anime, you know, is a little bit cooler, but still, what bothered me the most is like at the end, the husband was slit, he was dying out, and she was trying to get away, go to Mars, and she knew she wasn't gonna make it. And that kind of lessened the impact, because in the original, she saw this man who was driven crazy by drugs, going nuts, not listening to anything she has, seeing this man that she loved change, and she shot him herself, which was way more impactful and way cooler before she was utterly annihilated. It's like little changes like that that make this scene less cool. It just doesn't make sense why they do that. And then beyond that one episode, it just goes off on a complete tangent from there. Nothing from the show and the anime like coincide, besides like maybe a few scenes at the end where Spike and, well, I guess Vicious are fighting, you know, and they have their little sword and gun showdown. The one scene that they used in the trailers to prove like, hey, we're faithful to the anime, come and watch us. And that was literally it. Another character that they completely dumbed down and made irrelevant was Ein, the dog. He was supposed to be like this cool super dog that had like a bunch of cool technology ingrained in him. He was like a data dog. But they just relegated him to being a normal dog owned by a rich person. And that was it. His one thing that kept him relevant to the entire series was barking at this one assassin that hated dogs. And that stopped him from like killing Spike. And that was it. That was the only thing that kept him relevant in the show. And then he just kind of disappeared entirely from the series. Oh, and I guess I should mention the severe lack of Radical Edward. If you were paying attention to the opening, I'm pretty sure everyone noticed there's one like blank slot missing from that opening there where Ed should be. Why are they doing that? Why'd they get rid of that? Well, spoilers, Ed is in the show. I think one of the biggest things that was let down was the ending. This is one of the scenes of the ending that was a big letdown, but I'll get to the other part later. It was showed where Radical Ed woke up Spike after being drunk and miserable and stuff like that, and it was the goofiest exchange that I think I've ever seen.
You're Spike, cowboy, bounty hunter for hire. Wake up, I have a job for you.
Granted, Radical Edward is a goofy character because it's a hyperactive child that you're not supposed to know whether it's boy or female, it's just androgynous. But Radical Edward is hyperactive when excitable, when something interesting is happening. Whatever scene that you see happen at the end, exchange between Spike and Radical Ed, is just pure cringe.
Batman's big reward. We have to find the butterfly man. Boo! Danger, danger!
Tell me you cannot look at that and not cringe. The thing that was literally trending on Twitter. People were tearing it apart. Spike is another character that really bothers me too. In the anime, Spike is broody and cool. He has like this dark past that kind of follows him, but at the same time, he still is cool. He does things spectacularly. But in the live action, Spike, well, he does do some cool fighting scenes. He really is just tied to the fact of, well, this prior girlfriend that he basically cucked from his best friend. And, well, you know, it just really focuses on that all the time. He's just like, I want my girlfriend back. I want my girlfriend back. Oh, I miss her. Oh. I get that they're trying to add more romance, but man, come on. You're ruining one of the coolest characters in anime history. Cowboy Bebop is really about space and the traveling and all the cool things that happen in space. There's a lot of space element. They're constantly in their spaceships, shooting things around, going around doing all those dogfights that are crazy cool. There was literally none of that in the live action. Yeah, sure, sometimes they got in their jet to like chase something, very occasionally. At the end, Faye Valentine got in her little mech shooter and shot some people down through the gun. That was about it. And then she said that one awful line. But there was none of that cool hijinks where they're in their freaking spaceships chasing after enemies, blasting missiles out of it. None of that cool stuff that you've seen in the anime. Probably because they didn't have budget. In fact, most of the time you were losing that space element and you forgot it even was in space because you were just in like broken down apartments, strip clubs most of the time. I don't know what the obsession with strip clubs in this Cowboy Bebop adaptation was. I don't remember there being that many strip clubs, nudity and all that stuff. There was literally one scene where they were in a dominatrix place and they were talking to her and that it was late for her evening bukkake. Holy smokes. They really need to calm down because Cowboy Bebop was more about the cool, like space elements going around catching bounties and not strip clubs. I can't tell you how many times they went back to this one bar. I get it, they have limited sets they can do and they just kept reusing it and it was apparent that this was the only set that they had, so they kept reusing it over and over and over and over. And they were really awkward about the sex scenes too. Like there was literally a point where Jet was trying to get information, but this one lady really just wanted to do them.
2 bottles if we're feeling dangerous.
Sounds to me like blackmail.
Damn right it is, because Jet, you are black and you are male.
It was creepy because she kept making reappearances and doing all this creepy stuff. I mean, I get it was to make Jet uncomfortable, but it was making me uncomfortable. I don't know how many times during the episodes too that it cut to, you know, the Julia getting plowed by either Vicious or Spike. It was too much, man. You know me complaining about fluff scenes. Holy smokes, what's wrong with me? But they just felt out of place. It was just gratuitous. I thought I was watching smut. And just another thing to add on to the sexualized thing, there was even a line where they had like one of the mob boss saying, like, you don't really can't get back at a man until you eat his testicles or something like that. Something about eating the testicles. I kid you not. What? Who writes these lines? So I've been going on for a while here. Let's just break down the final 2 things that I had a real big pet peeve. I can't rip this all apart here. There's plenty more, trust me, but let's get to the major ones. Let's talk about Vicious, okay? This man that was supposed to be this white-haired badass in the anime, absolutely vicious up to his name. He was really scary in the anime. In the live action though, ooh, not so much. He was a little baby boy who had father-daddy issues and he was never good enough and he couldn't measure up to Spike and he was always losing his cool and going off and doing bad things and using his daddy's name to get out. Man, they really just destroyed this man's character. And they made him look like a complete goofball with that actor with his bulging eyes and weird camera angles and the weirdest, goofiest smiles that I think I have ever seen. Wow, That is the butchering of a cool villain. And the reason why they super butchered him was because of Julia's existence in the live action adaptation of her just being alive the entire time, married to this man, and him being tied to her constantly, really just demeaning his character and making him a baby boy. Holy smokes. You just couldn't take him seriously because he was too goofy of a villain. And moving on to the final thing that really just, wow, set the live action over the top, that just made a major change and turned it into an absolute crap ball. Yeah, I'm talking about Julia. Spoilers alert, she became the villain. All because Spike didn't come after her in the end. And she was like, you didn't come after me during those years. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm here now. I'm here to rescue you. And she's like, yeah, frick you. Shoots him, gets him out of the window, and it's like the lamest falling scene. It makes sense why they didn't do all those spaceship battles and other cool things that Cowboy Bebop is known for, because they made the CG look like that kind of garbage. And then she decided to become the big, like, syndicate crime lord. Holy smokes, man. Like, what are you doing, man? You really turned the coolest villain here into this little baby boy that became this woman's plaything? Like, what? Is this supposed to be some sort of empowerment switch or something? What? Why? Needless to say, the live adaptation of Cowboy Bebop is a joke. If you didn't watch the anime, I think it's bearable. It's a bearable watch. You can watch it and be like, wow, I watched that. And then if you watch the anime, you're like, wow, that compares nothing to this freaking amazing, glorious anime that is super fantastic years later after release and is better than most modern anime still to this day. Holy smokes. The anime, that is. Live adaptation, get out of here. I know this video isn't the play-by-play breakdowns that you saw from High Guardian Spice, but you know, like, I just wanted to briefly talk about this. It's like good enough that you can't really break it all down with timestamps and other things, but you know, there's just, it just makes me sad. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts and opinions below in the comment section. Noble, what things did you nail? What things did you miss? Plus, trust me, there's lots of changes that they made that... I hope you guys enjoyed the video at the very least, and I hope to see you beautiful sons of guns again next time.
You crazy mother...